I know it's a lot easier to control recoil on a mouse. Any chance you could do a good build for us console players? Yeah, dude. I think I can handle that.
Dude, we're 2v6ing right now. We're such a dynamic duo. We just 2v6 the entire team. Jesus.
What's going on, guys? This is Moonchild, the Dude No Way, and today I'm playing PvP on a controller for the first time since I moved to PC back in 2017. In my previous video, I got a comment asking me to please do a build for the homies that play the game on console, so I did that and took it a step further. All of the gameplay you are seeing in the background is done on PC with a basic Xbox controller, and in this video, I'm going to show you 4 different Revenant builds to help you slay out on the sticks. We're going to break those down into tiers, have a chat about recoil, and by the end of it, you'll have a solid setup to run regardless of your skill in PvP, with the final loadout being what I believe to be the best setup for Revenants on controller. The concept for this video originally started with a build utilizing Crimson, but after a few hours of playing with it, I came to the conclusion that I just don't like Crimson. Controller or not, we just don't vibe. But that led me to try out a lot of guns, and literally 12 hours of controller weapon testing later, I settled on these 4 setups. If you appreciate the fact that a single YouTube comment got me to spend 30 hours on a 10-minute video just so I could give you the most informed advice possible, do me a solid and hit that like button. I make build videos and deep dives like this every week, so subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any juicy synergy. We got a lot to talk about here, and for every build in this video, I'm running the fragments Whisper of Fissures and Whisper of Hedrons. Fissures increases the damage radius of Shatter Dive, and Hedrons gives you a nice 25% damage buff for 10 seconds after freezing a target, which you're going to be doing a fair amount with all of the setups I'm going to be talking about. I'm also running Strafe Jump and Glacier Grenade because they are arguably the best for hunters. For mods, every single build in this video is going to be running Traction, because despite it no longer giving mobility, it still makes our turn radius on controller nice and tight, and for that reason, if you play on console, I recommend putting this into every pair of boots you have and never taking it off. All of these builds run Taking Charge as well as High Energy Fire. Taking Charge gives us Charge with Light whenever we pick up an Orb of Power, and High Energy Fire gives a 20% damage buff to our weapons until you get a kill. Outreach and Powerful Friends are also on everything we're covering today, because Outreach gives you a chunk of melee energy back for picking up an orb, and it activates Powerful Friends, which gives a massive plus 20 mobility. So I put together a chart with 3 varying tiers of PvP confidence. The first tier on our list I'm calling PvE is better. This is for people who don't normally hang out in the Crucible. Maybe you don't really like it, or you aren't finding a lot of success. Maybe you're an absolute Nightfall god, but for whatever reason, that skill doesn't translate as well to PvP. If this sounds like you, then this build is going to be right up your alley. In the PvE is better tier, we're focusing hard on exploiting the strength of abilities, and as we progress through these builds, the use of abilities will shift to a greater focus on mechanical skill, with the final tier being what I believe to be one of the most competitive setups you can play on controller, assuming you're skilled enough to hit your shots. For our PvE mains, I recommend running Monte Carlo with the exotic armor, the 6th Coyote. Monte Carlo's exotic perk gives you a short damage boost after a kill and has a chance to fully recharge your melee. The Revenant, by default, has 2 melee charges, and if you use these back-to-back rapid fire, you'll either instantly freeze a target or outright kill them. And it chains, so you can use this to get multi-kills on dudes who are close together. Being able to get a full melee charge back for getting a kill with your auto rifle is awesome, because it pairs with Gambler's Dodge, which recharges your melee for dodging close to an enemy. Put on 6th Coyote, and now you have an additional way to dodge. What this amounts to is you being able to use your melee a lot of times, and when it's on cooldown, you have multiple ways to get it back. The gameplay loop is powerful and satisfying. For our secondary, we're going to be running the Seraph CQC shotgun, which you can get as a world drop by turning in tokens to Shax, Zavala, the Drifter, and you can also use gunsmith materials at Banshee. Tokens are being sunset next season, so you really have no reason to hold on to these. Hit the tower and drop them all off before it's too late. You might get a God Roll shotgun out of it. I'm going to quickly address the elephant in the room, that being, why didn't I choose Fellwinter's Lie? I didn't pick Fellwinter because it recently came to my attention that a positively staggering number of people don't have it, and there's absolutely no way for them to go and get it. The CQC is easily obtained, and as far as shotguns with quick draw you can get this season, this is the next best option. Obviously, if you have a Fellwinter, use it, but if you don't, you want to look for a 7th Seraph roll with quick draw, either full choke or rifled barrel, accurized rounds, and a ranged masterwork. This is a plenty good shotgun on its own, but because it's part of the lightweight frame, now we're gaining a passive 20 mobility every time we have it equipped. More mobility means more dodges, which means more melees and opportunities for multi-kills. For heavy, I recommend any grenade launcher with either proximity detonation or sticky grenades. For proxy det, you want to shoot this right at your enemy's face. For stickies, shoot them on the floor and by choke points and into crowds of people and just watch people walk on them and die. It's pretty funny. As far as mods are concerned, I'm going to show everything you should be running on screen, but in the interest of time, because there are 4 builds in this video, I'm going to talk mainly about the ones that give the best synergy for the loadout we're using. This build in particular works exceptionally well with Radiant Light, which does the same thing as Powerful Friends but for strength. An additional 20 strength makes hitting high tiers of recharge a breeze, and Powerful Friends works in conjunction with Radiant Light to make you and nearby allies charge with light whenever you activate your super. High energy fire with that 20% damage buff to our weapons is going to make Monte Carlo a lot more forgiving. It's going to extend the one-hit kill distance on our shotgun, and again, it lasts until you get a kill. For this build, I recommend slotting stacks on stacks, which gives you 2 stacks of charge with light every time you become charged. That's literally double the uptime of the 20% boost from high energy fire. It costs you a tier of recovery though, so you should be at a full 100 before slotting this mod to make sure your health regen stays competitive. Powerful Friends and Radiant Light are huge because those 2 tiers of extra cooldown for our strength and mobility go a long way towards helping the gameplay loop shine. But also, you can activate your super for an on-demand way to proc 2 stacks of charge with light. For your stat split, get as high of a mobility and strength as you can, make sure your recovery isn't any lower than 9, and do your best to hit 5 resilience. 5 resilience is the sweet spot because 120 RPM hand cannons are rampant in the meta, and anything less than 5 means you get killed in 1 headshot and 2 body shots. Make them earn it when they're fighting you, and run 5 so they have to be accurate. This build feels strong from the minute you start using it. Monte Carlo's gun model bounces like a madman, but goddamn if those shots don't hit nice and clean. The first time you throw 2 shurikens on a point and get a triple kill, you'll be hooked, and for hours on end you'll find yourself fishing for procs on your melee so you can do it again. It's solid in both mid and close range and has excellent mobility for controller. Dodging is your way to turn around fast, and having 2 of them means you're gonna live through a lot of engagements you would have lost because of how quickly and often you can reposition even mid-gunfight. Now we're gonna move on to tier 2, which brings us back to our chart, and I'm calling this one I Pop Off. If you're out there and pretty consistently you're getting decent scores or just flashy plays, this tier is for you. The builds for I Pop Off are less focused on ability spam and more towards your ability to aim. For this tier, I made 2 setups depending on the playstyle you like to run. The first uses the exotic shotgun Chaperone with the exotic armor piece Stompies. I'm really excited to talk about this part of the build because I was clapping people with Chaperone and it was legitimately jaw-dropping. As someone who rarely runs a slug outside of PvE, there were times I'd kill someone from what felt like double the range of a Fellwinter. The exotic perk Roadborn gives you range and precision damage after getting a kill, and Lord help the second dude who walks into your crosshair while Roadborn is active. You can kill him from down the block. This shotgun feels extremely crispy, and once you get used to aiming for the head, you become a monster. Combine that with the exotic boots Stompies, which give sprint speed, slide distance, and buff your jump, and now you're able to easily move about the battlefield to set yourself up at head level. Cemented in your mind, you don't need to rush the enemy with this build. And honestly, doing that on a controller may lead to a sticky situation where you can't get your crosshairs on point. So use the movement from Stompies to make sure you're properly in position and wait for the enemy to push you. If you did it right, as soon as they come into your line of sight, you pull the trigger and take their goddamn head right off their shoulders. This is the most solid advice I can give when running this on controller. Let them push you. You have the range advantage and they probably don't know that. Next, we're going to move on to our primary, and this is where our chat about Recoil comes into play. During my testing to make sure I was giving the most informed advice I could possibly give, I tested about 30 different primaries in PvP, and this is what I came up with. Arrowhead Break is the game changer for controller. This gives a plus 30 recoil direction, and the best weapon I had in my vault with this perk was a Stars and Shadows pulse rifle. On Stars and Shadow, having Arrowhead Break takes your recoil direction up to 94. What does that mean in game? It means the recoil bounces up, and only up, for the most part. To combat that, all you gotta do is gently pull down on the right thumbstick while firing. Easy does it, because recoil direction this high won't require a lot of correction. When considering a primary to pair with Chaperone, I 100% recommend you grab either an auto rifle or a pulse rifle with this perk. If you didn't know this existed, congratulations, I just changed your life. Subscribe for more nuanced PvP goodies. Bonus points with this setup if your weapon has Demolitionist, because kills with a Demolitionist weapon recharge your grenade, which gives you more chances to shatter dive groups of unsuspecting blueberries. Killing Wind is also a top tier pick for this build because the running gun playstyle is enhanced by the mobility and handling speed after a kill. For heavy, again, we're running a grenade launcher with either proxy det or sticky grenades, and for mods, some of the most important things you need to run with this setup are shotgun targeting and targeting for whatever primary you have with arrowhead break. Shotgun targeting is going to help you land those slick headshots with Chaperone nice and easy, and pairing a primary targeting mod with targeting adjuster on your primary weapon will make it easier for you to stay at your optimal time to kill. Do your best to get Radiant Light slotted for all the reasons we've already mentioned, and don't forget that shotgun dexterity is only 1 energy from the artifact this season. Slot that, and now you can whip out your little buddy faster than an eager nerd on prom night. Putting this on means you're going to miss out on a reload perk, so try to find things like Flared Magwell on your primary to compensate for that. As far as stats are concerned, you're going to want to hard push your mobility and recovery, because the faster you get your health back, the faster you can be doming people from 2 miles away with the Chaperone. This build doesn't include a lightweight weapon, so the shorter you can make your dodge cooldown, the more likely you'll survive when it counts. I was just shy of 5 resilience, but make sure that comes next. I promise, in pretty much every game of PvP, at some point it will mean the difference between you living and dying in this meta. This build was the one I had the most fun with because I was legitimately shocked every time I got a kill with Chaperone. The range is just insane compared to pellet shotties, and I can't stress enough just how enjoyable that experience was. With this setup, you're able to cover the long to mid range with your primary and the mid to close range with your shotgun, so from basically any distance, you're lethal. And boy, do you feel lethal. When you start hitting shots consistently, everything drops to the ground. You use the movement from Stompies to put yourself into the right spot, and Guardians are easy cleanup. If you need to win a 1v1 and you're not aimed up, you have both your grenade and your double melee charges in your back pocket to instantly delete someone. All of this combined firmly cements this setup into the I pop off tier, but what if you don't like the shotgun? Well, fear not, Sniper Main, because I was thinking of you when I made this list. My lovers of the red glint should be busting out the Last Word, Adored, and Lucky Pants. The Last Word was made for controller, plain and simple. This gun works best on the sticks, and the reason for that is it encourages you to hipfire. Hipfire relies heavily on the aim assist stat, and your aim assist on controller's pretty high. With a lightning fast 0.53 second time to kill when you fire full auto, anyone within your effective range is getting mowed in the blink of an eye. You cover your long range game with Adored, which on its own has a decently high aim assist of 68, but that gets boosted even further by Killing Wind. While Killing Wind is active, you gain 50 additional mobility for 5 seconds. And what this means is while the buff is up, your dodge is cooling down faster in the background, and it gives a large boost to handling, which makes Adored feel like it has quick draw. But what if you hit a body shot? This is where the power of Lucky Pants comes in, because swapping to a hand cannon activates the perk Illegally Modded Holster, which gives the Last Word a nice chunk of aim assist and allows you to instantly pull it out. You can swap from Adored and be firing the Last Word in a fraction of a second, so if you hit them with a body shot, cleaning them up is fast and efficient. You really feel like a gunslinger when you can quick draw your hand cannon and hip fire someone to death before they even have a chance to react. You're going to run through that magazine quick, so for this setup I recommend Marksman Dodge for those times you need to change positions and reload at the same time. You lose out on the ability to charge your melee, but again, we're moving farther away from reliance on abilities and starting to lean harder on that mechanical skill. For heavy, same thing as before, we're running a grenade launcher with either proxy detonation or sticky grenades, and mod-wise, you're going to want to head over to the artifact and grab both hand cannon targeting and unflinching hand cannon aim. Double slot both of these because you want your primary to be as consistent as humanly possible. When a shotgunner is rushing you, you're going to need the Last Word to work, and these two mods are going to make sure your shots land on target. High Energy Fire works well for this build because it allows Adored to one-shot most supers in the head. This isn't typically possible with the adaptive frame snipers, but High Energy Fire's 20% damage buff, or the 25% you get from freezing a target with Whisper of Hedrons, is going to push that critical damage of Adored over the threshold and let you put most things down with a single headshot. Having either of these buffs active lets Last Word maintain its optimal time to kill with only 2 crits and a body shot, which is insane. Just like the Chaperone build, you want to use your Glacier Grenade with Shatter Dive or your double melee to win a 1v1 when you're caught out of position with no time to line up a headshot. Both of these are hard and fast counters, so make sure you're saving them for when you need them the most. Remember to peek corners with your crosshair at head level, beware of the flinch from pulse rifles and 120 RPM hand cannons, and make sure you never aim down sights with the Last Word. This gun only deals full damage when firing from the hip. Work it into your mind not to aim down sights, and only fire in full auto when an enemy is approaching shotgun range. Stats here are the same as the Chaperone build, no less than 9 recovery, as high as you can push your mobility, a 5 resilience to keep yourself alive, and everything else is icing on the cake. If you feel like you belong in the I pop off tier, you'll pop off with this loadout. I bet you'll have some crazy games and the build becomes more addicting the longer you use it. You gotta give it a shot. Alright boys, we made it. Our final tier of PvP confidence and what I believe to be the most competitive loadout for a controller user. I call this tier Sweaty Spaghetti. You know if this is you. That absolute ape of a player forever holding forward with a hand cannon and a shotgun. The one who hits their shots even at the highest pace of the game. If you spam the switch weapons button while sprinting, chances are this is your tier. For you guys, I recommend running a Dire Promise with a quick draw shotgun, Wordcliff Coil, and the Dragon Shadow exotic chest piece. This is a try-hard loadout, and that's okay. If you're like me, this is the way you enjoy the game the most. Dragon Shadow has one of the best perks in the entire game because not only does it reload all of your weapons when you dodge, you also gain 50 mobility, your weapons reload faster, and every single gun you have on is getting quick draw and snapshot. This lasts for 10 seconds, and if you're anywhere above 5 mobility, it'll ensure your dodge is cooling down as fast as it possibly can. Most of the game, you're going to have Wraith Metal Mail active, and this is going to let you combat the inherent slower pace of using a controller. When you can move fast, swap fast, and you never have to worry about reloading, PvP turns into a game of how accurate can I be. The more you hit your headshots, the faster you're going to take people down and get on to the next engagement. Dragon Shadow also lets us run Gambler's Dodge, so that we have a way to get our melee charge back when we need it. And this is clutch because a single melee with the damage it deals and the short freeze is usually enough for a sweaty player to get that kill. Dire Promise has a 92 aim assist, and with an Icarus mod you can freely make use of the Hunter suite of movement capabilities without any fear of in-air accuracy penalties. I chose this over a 120 RPM hand cannon because its optimal time to kill is faster and this build is all about speed. The CQC fires quickly, which means you can very easily 2-tap an enemy who's using Fellwinter's Lie if you stay outside their one-hit range. Wordcliff Coil is the I win button of heavy ammo because it instantly deletes anything you put in front of it, even a behemoth in super. Even a behemoth with an overshield in super. Anything. You point Wordcliff at it, shoot, and it's dead. That level of consistency is exactly what this type of player needs because at the pace we're playing the game, we can't afford any mistakes. Because of how fast you're moving, chances are you're going to be in the right place at the right time to snag a multi-kill with Shatter Dive, so keep that in mind, but don't forget to use it to rapidly descend when you find yourself high in the sky with an enemy aiming you up. Mods for this setup are the exact same as the last, with everything hand cannon from the artifact. I recommend stacks on stacks because having an extra stack means high energy fire is giving us forgiveness on Dire Promise twice as often. 2 crits, 1 body for an optimal time to kill is very relaxed. Keep your recovery high, 5 resilience, and at least 5 mobility, and drop the rest into whatever you fancy. The more mechanically skilled you are, the more you're going to get out of this setup. Hit your shots, make sure you're peek firing from cover, start fights with your primary and hot swap to your shotty for easy cleanups, and before long you're going to run the show in every game of PvP. If you enjoyed this content, liking this video may cause your wildest dreams to come true. Thanks for watching. I am Moonchild of Dude No Way, and I will see you in the next video.